So the Lakers are going to take on the Utah Jazz for the last game of the season, and what a journey it's been. Now, obviously, the Lakers need to win this game. If they win this game, they would finish in 7th seed, assuming like all this craziness doesn't happen. There are all kinds of possibilities, and it is crazy that it's coming down to the end, to literally the last game. But more likely than not, Lakers will land the 7th seed. I imagine the Clippers are going to win outright. Ty Lue said that everybody is going to play. They want to ensure that they get that win so they don't run the risk of dropping into the play-in. The Pelicans and the Timberwolves, they play each other, and we'll see how that plays out. The Warriors, obviously, if they lose and we win, beautiful. That would be great. But there's a real possibility that the Lakers could look at this and go, what is more valuable? Home court for the play-in, or us being as healthy as possible leading into that play-in, and then, of course, the playoffs once we get that win. Because I'm confident that we would win at least one of those games, right? You have 2 chances to win one. I imagine Lakers at least win one of those games. But there's a real argument to be made for LeBron James and Anthony Davis sitting. Personally, I'd like to see them play. Again, reports, Dennis Schroeder is dealing with Achilles soreness, so he's very likely going to be out. He missed the previous game. And LeBron James and AD are both questionable versus the Jazz. Now, Schroeder being out, I don't think is a huge deal. LeBron James and Anthony Davis being out, however, could be a little bit of a problem. But it kind of, again, it boils down to, do the Lakers look at this and go, okay, our bench guys, our team without LeBron James and Anthony Davis are going to be better than whatever the Utah Jazz, who are packing it in and are likely going to play the end of the bench guys. Can we beat that squad? And I do believe the Lakers can beat Utah without LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You always see teams pick up, right? Get it up when their stars aren't playing. Or, you saw it with the Suns game, you saw it with the Lakers against the Jazz, as well as, the previous game against the Suns. Role guys usually step up and play better because you have to, right? Somebody has to play and fill that void. And we have guys like Austin Reeves, D'Lo, as long as D'Lo plays as well. Rui, that could be a good matchup. We now have Mo Bamba, which that would greatly help, and that would put us in a great position because now we'd actually have a center, shot-blocking center, to alleviate some of the pressure of Anthony Davis. Granted, he's nowhere near Anthony Davis, but still, it's at least a 7-footer that is in the paint that could really help out. There's an argument to be made. Again, I would personally prefer that they play, even if they play like the first half, right? But if you're going to do that, like if you're going to play the first half, you need to come out with some urgency, come out with some aggression, be aggressive, get a good solid lead, do your part, be up hopefully 15 or 20 at halftime, and then you could sit LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and then the rest of the guys, if they can't win with a 20-point lead or a 15-point lead or something like that, then they don't deserve to win regardless, right? So that I can understand. Even if the Lakers were to lose tomorrow, they would still end up being the 8th seed. So you still have 2 games to win one. You just don't have the home court. Personally, I do also have concerns about like the travel. I know it's not like a major thing, but still, you'd have to go, like right now, if they win, you get to stay in LA until you have your first playoff match, right? Against whether it's the Denver Nuggets or it's the Memphis Grizzlies. But regardless, you're in that playoff match. And then that's when you would travel. Where if you don't get home court, now you got to fly to, let's say, New Orleans. And then you got to go back to LA if you don't win that game in New Orleans. And even then, you still got to go back to LA. And then you got to go fly to, say, Memphis, right? That is not ideal. But also, it looks like the Lakers may be signing somebody to fill that 15th roster spot. And if it's a center, maybe you can get away with not playing at least Anthony Davis. Maybe you play LeBron James, but you don't play AD and you let him get some rest. That could be a real possibility. So per Eric Pincus, I anticipate the Lakers will sign a player tomorrow, probably for the rest of the season and an additional year with a non or partially guaranteed, perhaps with the team option. So we've seen several guys on various teams, like Vernon Carey recently got signed. Like you'll see teams fill roster spots or test guys out, and they'll sign them till the end of the season. Now, usually, like people think, like, oh, you're only signing them to 1 or 2 games. No, you could sign them, have them for the playoffs, and then if they're really good for you during that stretch or whatever, or if it's a guy that you want to kind of take a look at, then you can go and keep him next season, or just again non-partial guarantee one of those. Then you just let him go. It's not a big deal. It doesn't really cost you anything. Not the end of the world, right? So again, they could go a multitude of ways, right? You could go and get a DeMarcus Cousins, Nerlens Noel, I think, is still out there. Serge Ibaka. Hassan Whiteside, he is playing in Puerto Rico, so I don't really think that they're going to go get him or take a look at him, although he's still my ideal target. Same thing with like a Dwight Howard. I don't see them getting him. So the pool is kind of limited now as far as centers go. A lot of like the younger centers, I believe, have been signed by various teams. Like a lot of the ones that have been mentioned that people wanted to see get picked up have already gotten picked up by other teams. So, but maybe you could bring in like a DeMarcus Cousins as like a veteran guy who you just have him play in spots, in spurts. He's probably more trustworthy than Mo Bamba, especially if you're going against, say, because very likely the Lakers' path, if they're the 7th seed, the Lakers' path is probably going to be the Memphis Grizzlies, which DeMarcus Cousins could really help with. Although Memphis won't have Steven Adams, that would be helpful. But still, they still have like Triple J, guys like that, right? So DeMarcus Cousins could help with that series. Then you're probably playing the Sacramento Kings, right? And Sabonis, right? You'd have a solid guy and DeMarcus Cousins who could really help in that department. That could be helpful and impactful. And then you might end up playing the Denver Nuggets. And if you end up playing the Denver Nuggets, well, then DeMarcus Cousins would be great in that Joker matchup because you can just have a big body to kind of hammer and throw at him. There's also the possibility of them, bringing in and signing like, a Cole Swider or something like that, and moving somebody else into a two-way, or, bringing in some young guy that they have their eye on that they may want to get some reps in. Maybe they bring in another wing, right? Maybe you bring in like a Mo Harkless or something. That's also a possibility. There's options and potential for who you could bring in, and I'm curious to see if they even do. It's kind of this rumor that's going around. Depending on when you watch this video, I'm posting this video really early just because I wanted to get it up before, just in case they don't. So don't get your hopes up that they sign somebody or that they sign somebody impactful. Again, it very well could just be a young guy that they want to take a look at that's not going to play in the playoffs. That might play for the Utah Jazz game, and that's it. And they'll probably bring in a training camp and stuff like that and just kind of let them get a workout, get a feel, right? That's probably what's going to happen. So don't think, oh yeah, great, the Lakers are going to sign a Serge Ibaka or DeMarcus Cousins or something like that. Don't hold your breath. It would be great if they did, because I really want a veteran center. That's the one thing I feel like we need more than anything right now is a veteran-led center. Because Anthony Davis, don't get me wrong, Anthony Davis is going to play 40-plus minutes a game. Very likely, right? But it would be nice to have a guy that you could play and even maybe play AD at the 4 spot in certain matchups, right? Also, what if you end up playing the Timberwolves in the play-in, right? Like, it would be nice to get DeMarcus Cousins to bang with Rudy Gobert, right? Like, you could match up DeMarcus Cousins with Rudy and then also put Anthony Davis on Cat. I mean, we saw Rui do a great job on Cat, so that's a good matchup as well. But also, it wouldn't hurt to have another sizable guy that you could put on a Rudy Gobert, right? Or even or let's say you get a Serge Ibaka, you could put AD on Gobert and go put Serge on a Karl Anthony Towns and kind of match some size. It's a real possibility. Again, don't get your hopes up too much. It's not something that I'm like, I expect them getting and bringing in some big impact guy. Because my thing is like, why now of all things? Like, why are you now gonna bring in like a DeMarcus Cousins? Like, yes, you're going into the playoffs, so it'd be nice to have that body, right? Be better to have a big guy that never plays and you just have on the bench in case like certain matchup or whatever. Okay, but we could have used somebody like a Serge Ibaka, DeMarcus Cousins, whatever, much earlier on, right? Like we could have used that a while ago. I don't think it would be a wasted signing. I still welcome it. If they do, I'm going to be happy about it. I'll be pumped about it. But regardless of what ends up happening, regardless of how this all plays out, Lakers need to get it done in the play-in, right? Whether they decide to sit LeBron and AD, which I'm not totally against. I want to finish the season on a high note, finish the season on a win, and then get ready for that play-in. Maybe the cards fall and you end up in the 60. Because the worst thing that you could do, in my opinion, is sit LeBron James and Anthony Davis. For whatever reason, the Portland Trailblazers end up beating the Golden State Warriors, and you had a legitimate chance to be the 6th seed. And instead of doing that, you end up blowing your opportunity, and now you're playing the Warriors, right? Because like the Warriors, the Pelicans, if they end up winning, unless they end up losing, and then now you're playing, you're playing Minnesota, and it's just why risk it? Go in, do your job. If you do your part, then that's all that matters. However the chips land is how the chips land, right? However the cards fall is how the cards fall. That's what I want. I want to finish on a strong note. I want to finish on a positive note. I want to feel confident going into the play-in, and then win that first play-in game, get as much rest as possible. You get like 3 or 4 days rest, and then now you're ready to go take on Memphis in the first round of the playoffs, which I do believe we can beat. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. It's not gonna be easy. I could see that game going 6 or that series going 6 or 7, but I do think that that's a matchup that the Lakers can absolutely win. I really do. I really believe that. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think LeBron and AD should sit? Do you think they should play? Do you think that we should sign a veteran guy? If so, like who do you have in mind? Do you think they should go get a young guy that, is kind of a guy that you can develop and maybe be part of your core for the future? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd really love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below.